So hello fellow Earthlings, this is Earthling 6455463728. And does jail work? I mean, I'm not really sure how to phrase this. We know that jail doesn't work. And you ask me, well, what do you mean jail? How do you mean jail doesn't work? I mean, obviously somebody does something bad and we put them in jail and we get them off the street. But that isn't permanent. Most people are not in jail permanently. And we know that there is no real rehabilitation in jail. I had to stop for a second there, I couldn't remember the word. So we know that there's no real rehabilitation in jail. And we are putting people who commit minor offenses in the same jails with people who might have mental illnesses. They might be sociopaths. They might be psychopaths. They might be, have been traumatized through their childhood because of physical, sexual, mental abuse. And we are putting them in a concentrated environment with people with all these other problems. Somebody who you caught with marijuana, or you caught them, embezzling. And well, I guess they tried to change that. So they have those minimum security jails, I think. But I think that really depends on how much money you have. So a poor person who embezzled or stole, did some white-collar crime, they're probably not going to one of those minimum security jails. Probably not. So for most people, you're going to go and encounter and be at the mercy of people who are capable of pretty bad stuff. People who might be in there for life, and there's nothing more that can be done to punish them. So we know that jails don't work. And we know that this is a tool that has been almost unchanged for hundreds of years. I think jail has been around. And we just keep doing it, knowing that it makes the situation worse. And we think that we are intelligent. We think that we are going to send people to Mars, and we have Bitcoin, and we're supposed to be reducing our impact on the climate. How is it that you can match the brilliance of E = mc squared with the fact that when people do bad things, if we catch them, we put them in jail with other people who can make them worse? And we have no support systems, and we take away their rights to vote, and we would just want to punish them for life. You're a registered sex offender, and you can't get a job here and you can't get a job there because people will know that you've committed a crime. There's that box, ban the box. So how is it, while we're being brilliant, we have festering sores that, when it comes to getting elected, I think being tough on crime is still a very effective means of garnering public support. So we have this intelligence and pride and hope and belief that we're not going to turn into some kind of dystopian future, some kind of Mad Max-like future. The whole fears about the Cold War and nuclear annihilation, those are gone. But we do still have this pandemic to reassure us that we're really not that smart. I've heard people mention our reptile brain, and it's supposed to be responsible for all of the bad things. Our cortex, the most recent evolution of our brains. The cortex, our cerebral cortex, is supposed to be, the intelligent part of us, the part that separates us from animals, that allows us to send devices to Mars and Venus and Jupiter and Pluto. This is supposed to be the amazing thing that we can depend on to get us through the future. But the problem with that is that our society pretty much works the same way that our brain does. The cerebral cortex, that part that thinks and deducts and adds things up and calculates, that's like scientists. That's like scientists that we have in society who help us to discover all these new things and to learn to develop antibiotics and everything else. But most people are like the reptilian brain. We want people to be tough on crime. We want politicians to be tough on crime. We're not really thinking it out to understand that, an adult's brain isn't fully developed until they're 25 years old. And the parts of the brain that allow us to be thinking of the future when we make decisions, that part isn't developed until we're about 25 years old. So kids are going to make rash decisions. And those are ultimately most of the people in prison. People often age out of prison. As they get older, they just stop committing as many crimes as their brain develops. But our reptilian brain, most of us non-scientists who don't really think that logically, or if something happens to us, we think, oh, them, that other person, we need to get them. That's most of us. And the scientists are like the cerebral cortex. And the same way our brain is at the mercy of our reptilian brain is the same way that society is at the mercy of our reptilian desires for vengeance without thinking that, hey, this is probably going to hurt me. If we send young people who make rash decisions to prison to be at the mercy of people who we've allowed to, they've slipped through the cracks. Society has not supported them when they're being emotionally abused, or when they needed the support to get past sociopathy or psychopathy. They didn't have that. We don't have proper mental health support for people in society. And we don't have good social support. Social workers can barely get the resources that they need. They have so many people on their plate. And that's what we get. We get these people who seemingly nobody cares about, and they get to enforce their wills when they're in prison on the people who just made a mistake here, or they just made a mistake there. And it's like a machine to make things worse. That's what jail is. We've invented a system to not help the people who are the worst to get better, but to provide them with a way to become worse and to, unfortunately, it sounds bad, but infect other people with the same problems that we didn't help them to fix in the first place. So here we are, so intelligent, making electric cars and trying to get off of oil and sending, submersibles like 6 miles underneath the ocean. And we don't realize that what we are doing every day is making the world a worse place. It's just nuts. Anyway, guys, try and do what you can to make the world a better place every day. Just make one conscious decision to do one nice thing every day, like a Cub Scout maybe. Maybe that will help. Peace.